Hello, friends and fellow warriors in health. I'm Chip. This channel is CP59 Fit, Unconventional Healthy Living Strategies. This week's topic is, should you cheat on a low-carb, healthy fat way of eating? I'm going to get to that, but I first want to welcome all the new subscribers, all the new watchers, anybody who's commenting, and all of those that are supporting me. They say you haven't really made it on YouTube until you get your first negative comment. Well, I did get a negative comment this week. None of you probably saw it because it wasn't on this channel. A friend of mine, Ryan Brown, who's in my animal-based eating group with Dr. Paul Saladino, has a channel called Road to Recovery. That's TO, not the number 2. But if you put a number 2 after Road to Recovery, the number 2, then you maybe find it. His channel is very hard to find. But Ryan suffers from small fiber neuropathy. He's a very young man, like about 25. And he has this chronic, kind of debilitating disease. So he had interviewed a lady, physician's assistant, a PA, I want to say personal assistant, but I think she's a physician's assistant, about, and the title was a little bit clickbaity. I tried to avoid that. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but because views and watch time are very, very important to the YouTube algorithm. While we're talking about the algorithm, how about booping that like button down there, and then, let me see, I think it's on this side, would be the little red, white, and blue circle. If you click on that, you can subscribe to my channel. Both of those things would make me and the YouTube algorithm extremely happy. What I'm finding through the algorithm and through the feedback is that most of my base clients are 55 to 65. Some are 45 to, so let's say 45 to 65. A little bit overweight and an extra proportion of women, so a majority of women. So if you're a little bit overweight woman, thank you for joining. I'm a little bit of an overweight man. And that's kind of what this negative comment was about. I had posted on one of Ryan's videos with this PA who apparently does the carnivore diet and counsels people to do the carnivore diet, but the title was something like debunking the carnivore diet, and they didn't do anything to debunk it or even really describe it in good detail. So a lady in the comments asked, well, I'm disappointed I didn't find out what the carnivore diet was. And so I responded, my whole channel, CP59 Fit Unconventional Healthy Living Strategies, is basically about the carnivore diet and how you can get healthy through it. So some little punk responded, why should she listen to you? You're fat with a double chin and your channel's basically shallow. Basically it was saying I don't look like I'm fit and I'm not an MD. And fortunately for y'all, that doesn't seem to matter. Yes, I do have a double chin. It's not quadruple like it used to be. And I didn't lash back at this. I'm sure it's a young man. It's probably still living in his mother's basement somewhere. But I realized that I was kind of that way myself before I realized that it's not your fault that you're fat. That's why I developed a channel with unconventional healthy living strategies, because the conventional strategies generally don't work and we all believe them and are misinformed. But before we get into this week's strategy, now that I've told you that little story on this young fellow, but I guess I've officially made it on YouTube now that I have negative comments. I guess eventually they'll end up on this channel, and as my lead says, I've got tough skin, she's got tough skin, so those kind of comments don't affect me. Yes, I'm fat, yes, I'm old, I have gray hair, okay, that means I'm a little bit wiser than you, little punk. Don't make me come after you, because I'll still, if I had to. I have a little bit of experience from my police days that I could take care of myself if I needed to, but I'm not going to do that over some stupid little comment on a video channel. Not even my channel. I need to text Ryan and say, thanks, you made me a star on YouTube because now I've had a negative comment. But I hope the lady does find this channel, and I hope she does find something. No, I'm not an MD. I tell you, every time I'm not an MD, I can't give medical advice. But what I do is I glean research off of YouTube, off the internet, off the web, whatever you want to call it. I digest it and I regurgitate it to you in a way that hopefully you can understand. And I'm not going to worry about time on this channel, on this video, because I want to, before I get into today's tip, I want to bring you an update on how life is, how my life is. But I want this channel to be about you, not me, so I'm giving you an update, because I had told you I was going to start posting the videos I had already made, and I did that last week. What do you think of the snake bite one? I didn't get many comments, so I really don't know. It's had good watch time, but that's because a few of my friends, or real life friends I should say, and maybe some of my video friends too, are actually hitting the playlist buttons and just letting them play all day, and that's what the YouTube algorithm likes. So if you have a dedicated internet, it's not going to cost you anything. You have unlimited data. Please turn on my YouTube channel and hit one of the playlists and just let it run for 6 or 8 hours. You don't have to have the volume up. You don't even have to listen to it. Write a comment or hit the like button every once in a while if you don't mind, and that will really help boost the algorithm and help this channel actually make it as to something more than just a bad comment here and there. And I appreciate all your good comments, and I appreciate all the subscribers. So I'm not being negative here. I just thought it was funny that this person I don't know who has 5 subscribers tell me I have meager subscribers, which 78 is not my goal, and I will proceed past that. You can even see my chin starting to develop now as I continue to lose weight. But one thing to remember when you're going to criticize somebody about being overweight or unhealthy is you don't know where they started from. If this little young man would have gone back in my channel to some of the first videos, he'd see my face was pudgy and I had a whole lot more extra chin. Now, if I know if I can stretch my neck out, it doesn't show. If I stretch it in, it does, but that's everybody. You can be fairly thin and still have a double chin if you pull your head way back like that. And they also tell me moving keeps attention longer, so I should probably move the camera around a little. How do you like the new lighting setup? I bought a circle light, which I can't show you because it would be too bright, but it does seem to illuminate. You can even see the topic of my update is this gold crown and root canal. So I'm going to give a little bit of update about my week, and then I'm going to go into the tip of whether you should cheat on a keto or carnivore way of eating, which is generically called low carb healthy fat, LCHF. If you've been following me for a while, you know that in Branson over my birthday in April, I had some spasms that started here and went all the way up the side of my face. At that time, Dr. Mabry suggested I go to the ER because it was possibly an aneurysm in my brain, but that proved to be negative. They did a CT scan against his orders. He had requested an MRA. And then I came back and met a neurologist in my hometown, got an MRA. It proved inconclusive. Well, it proved conclusive I did not have a stroke. It also proved I did not have an aneurysm. So then it was thought of maybe a nerve coming out a little tiny hole right here in front of your face that goes both directions. But then when I had an incident occur at work about a month later, so sometime May or June, I realized I had this shiny old gold crown there that's covering up a root canal that I had a decade or more ago, and that it was kind of hurting that night. And you can see it's back here right above this spot where the spasm started. So I went to the dentist the next day. I came home from work that night to take some pills, relax, because we weren't sure what was causing it, stress or exercise or clenching my teeth, who knew. But the dentist found an infection there, and if you, like I said, if you've been watching me, all this is old news to you, but for those that are new, that's what's been going on since April. So the dentist says, well, you have an infection, I'm going to put you on amoxicillin for a week. And he gave me a mild dose and only 3 pills a day, so 21 pills for a week. And I'm going to send you to an endodontist because they have better imaging techniques than the dentist office does. So he sent me to the endodontist. They took a circular around my head x-ray. You stand up in it and bite this thing, and a machine spins around your head. Anyway, they did find that there was a infection under that root canal, the bottom level of both of those roots. It's basically two posts that your tooth sits on top of. That tooth is dead. Once you have a root canal, there's nothing left of life in that tooth. They're just keeping it in there so you can chew on that side. Similar to an implant, but cheaper. So anyway, he said, yeah, you've got that. But I was seeing Dr. Mabry on Thursday for the first time since the trip, or maybe the second, I don't know. But anyway, he said, go have your MD, take a picture of the x-ray, have your MD look at it, and then tell me what you want to do. So Dr. Mabry looked at the x-ray and said, immediately, well, that tooth is off the post, the front post or the back post or something. So you're getting infection down there. Get that fixed, and then we'll worry about the spasm if that doesn't cure it. So I called the endodontist back the next day. They dropped the ball. So a week or so later, when I hadn't heard back from them, I called back again, and the lady says, well, your file says that there's no treatment prescribed. I said, yeah, that's because he wanted me to go talk to my MD, and then if the MD wanted it treated, he would treat it. So I've called you a week ago and said the MD wanted it treated. Y'all said you were going to call me back. You never did. So, okay, well, let me go talk to the endodontist. But long story short, they did get me in to replace the root canal. And what they did was they drilled straight down through the crown, dug out everything else. I'm there, numb, with a rubber mask in, which you can't breathe in, but it's supposed to keep the stuff from falling down your throat, which is probably a good thing. And this smoke is coming out of my mouth. I'm like, I've never smoked in my life. Why am I smoking now? Well, come to find out, those posts they put in are very difficult to get out, so they kind of have to melt them, heat them up, and they smoke when they do that in order to get that out. Or maybe he was killing the infection, but that's what the assistant told me, was they were melting the rods to get them out of the mouth. And then he was supposed to clean up the infection. Then he put new rods in, and then he put a temporary cavity in where he had dug through what was left of my tooth and what was left of my crown. And so then I had to go back to the dentist. The root canal was last Monday. The dentist was last Thursday. Then the dentist had to go in, check the crown, make sure it was still uncompromised, means usable, and then take out the temporary filling that the endodontist put in and put in a permanent filling. So that's insurance for you. They covered most of it, but it's funny that that endodontist, who's almost a more advanced dentist than a regular dentist, isn't allowed by insurance to put in a permanent filling in the damage they did, that you have to go back to your regular dentist. Maybe that's because a regular dentist would have to replace the crown if it was damaged, but he told me it was uncompromised. So that's a good thing. But the endodontist put me on a steroid for 6 days, amoxicillin again for 7 days, but this time it's 4 pills a day, so I'm supposed to take it every 6 hours, and 800 milligrams of ibuprofen that I'm supposed to take with the amoxicillin, and if I have pain in between, I can take Tylenol, acetaminophen, which is what the doctors have always told me that's all I'm supposed to take. So when I got the prescription, I emailed Dr. Mabry. I said, they're prescribing ibuprofen, which is a NSAID, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug, which with the blood thinners I'm on for the stroke, or what they're actually called, are anticoagulants. You have a higher risk of bleeding ulcers with NSAIDs than you do with Tylenol, or its generic name, acetaminophen in the U.S., and it's something else like Pabinol, something in other countries. But it's basically Tylenol is the brand name. So all I've been taking for 6 years, if I had any pain or a headache, was Tylenol. But Tylenol can affect your liver, and one time I got too much of it in. I think that's just the glare. I'm going to turn this light down just a little bit because It's irritating my eyes. Let me find the button. There we go. Hope y'all can still see me fine. But Dr. Mabry responded back, well, you don't drink, you don't smoke. Those are the main contributors for bleeding ulcer. So I think you'll be fine for a week on ibuprofen. So I got that prescription filled. I got the other 2 filled. This is Monday afternoon. The steroids say, or the pharmacist, the doctor, everybody said to take them with food. The pharmacist told me not to take the steroids too late in the day, that they might keep me awake. Of course, I didn't pick them up till like 3 o'clock, so that's probably too late in the day. And the first day is your biggest dose. I think it was 6 tablets, and then you had 5 the next day, 4 the next, blah, blah, until 1 the last day. And the steroids are basically an anti-inflammatory, so they kind of serve the same purpose as the ibuprofen. The amoxicillin is to make sure the infection does not come back. How does that work with Virta? Okay, I emailed the coach and all, told her what I was on. She added it to my file. Then I read the fine print, and the steroid increases your blood glucose, and they actually caution you if you're diabetic to be careful. Well, I am on Virta, but I'm not a diabetic, so that's a good thing. The bad thing is it still raised my blood glucose. Not dangerously high, but enough that I stopped losing weight and actually started gaining weight. So I was thinking of calling this series about life has roadblocks, or today's video about, life happens. And I'm trying to remember whether you should cheat on low carb, high fat. So that's going to be the next topic. Part 3 of this video is, is it all right to cheat on a LCHF type of, I'm trying to get my screen moved here. You may have noticed I've added a light. I've added another phone hotspot to my house, so I can actually run a computer, and I have the camera on top of the computer now. So if you see me look down, I'm reading my notes, so I can hopefully stay on. I typed them this week, so I can actually read them. I just have to glance down at the computer, which is not far from the screen. But back to the steroids. They've kind of messed up my weight loss. I was fortunate. I'd gotten to my goal weight about 2 weeks ago, my first goal of 210 or a little bit less. And then I celebrated a little bit, which is technically a cheat day, because I had learned at that time how to celebrate without food. And I told y'all I was going to do the videos I had in the can for 2 or 3 weeks so I could learn to get better. But I thought it was important to bring you this update, and I can tie it into a tip. And I missed talking to y'all, so I made a video this week. It's going to be a little bit longer than the ones I already had made, and it will give me another 2 or 3 weeks to study some more before I make another one, unless I just feel the need to talk to you. I do miss you. I wish you'd comment more. Let me know what's going on in your life. So let me wrap up this update on me, and then we can get to you and whoever watched this for the tip. I told my coach my health is number 1 priority, so I'm not going to worry about the numbers, the finger pricks, the number on the scale and all this week. I'm going to heal this infection, which was causing the spasms, which has made it so I have been advised not to exercise until we get it done. So that, to some extent, even though I've discussed in other videos that exercise is really doesn't help with weight loss. So you have to go back and find that if you wanted that, or maybe I'll do it again here shortly. But I'm of the belief that exercise is good for weight maintenance, but not necessarily for weight loss. That is a very unconventional, even controversial statement. So anyway, how am I feeling now that I'm a week out from the original root canal? I'm feeling fine. I'm about 7-8 pounds heavier. That's not what I had planned with this, but at least now I know how to fix it. And I have been actually eating maybe a little more carbs than normal, but more so the problem is having to have food with every pill and trying to take them 6 days a week. 4 times a day, every 6 hours, not 6 days, 6 hours. I'm sometimes waking up at 6 a.m. and I have to eat a little something. So as I told my coach, I'm eating when I'm not hungry, which is one technique I found that has been monumental in helping me to lose weight, is to only eat when I'm hungry and to stop when I'm full. I haven't been able to do that this week because I made some egg muffins, not egg McMuffins. These are carb free. It's just scrambled eggs, brown sausage, and cheese, and heavy whipping cream in muffin tins that you just bake in the oven. You can look up egg muffin recipe on Google, and there's hundreds of them. You can add spinach if you want, if you're on keto and you're doing vegetables. You can add broccoli. You can add almost any leftover from your kitchen. Just make sure the egg and the cheese gets in with it. So I had a dozen of these egg muffins at the start of the week. I need to make some more this afternoon, evening. So I'd wake up at 6. I wouldn't set my clock, but if I woke up and took one, because if I really went 8 or 10 hours and then I woke up, I had a little bit of pain here. So I'm taking the ibuprofen and the amoxicillin together 4 times a day if possible. I think I had that happen 2, maybe 3 days this whole week that I got up early enough to take it. Then I'd eat something, then I'd go back to sleep, then I'd get up again, then I'd take it at noon, then I take it at 6, and then I try to take it at 12 before I go to bed. But I'm not used to eating at midnight. I'm not used to eating at 6 a.m. So yes, I had some weight gain. Yes, my blood glucose went up, but not dangerously up, just up for what I'm used to. So sometimes life gets in the way and makes my next statement relevant to most people, but there have to be exceptions also. And that unconventional tip of the week is, should you cheat on a low carb, healthy fat type of diet? If you've watched my other videos, you already know the answer to that. And the answer is no, you should not. Is it okay to? Well, you can eat whatever you want. I am not the food police. I'm not the thought police. I'm not going to come in your house and say, no, you can't eat a carb today. You can eat whatever you want, but if the goal is to be healthy, and in my case, if the goal is to reduce insulin resistance, I have to say no to cheating. Because, as I've mentioned in other videos, your weight is not about necessarily what you eat. It's about your hormone response to what you eat. And if you eat, we'll just say carbs at this point, anything that turns to sugar, it can be pasta, it can be potatoes, then your glucose is going to go up, which is going to cause your insulin to go up. And what is insulin's job? Insulin's job is to tell your body to store fat. Okay, there's 2 reasons you store fat. Number 1 is you consume too many calories and or fat. And number 2, you consume carbohydrates. Both of those stop your body from burning fat. So this is 2 tips. Actually, I thought it was just going to be 1, but I'm going to add this second one in that Amy Berger keeps pushing in her videos that I'm watching this week. If you want to lose weight, you got on a low carb, high fat diet, calories don't count, but they do matter. And fat doesn't have to be excessive, fat intake. Many people think you have to eat more fat to lose weight, and that's not a bad concept considering that you've been told all your life to eat low fat, and you've gotten fatter and fatter and fatter. So this 2-in-1 thing is, if you consume too many calories, like I'm doing this week because I'm eating when I'm not hungry, then you are going to gain weight because your body has to burn the calories you put in before it can burn the supplies around the middle. And that's kind of the same theory with fat consumption. If you're burying everything in butter, if you're drowning it in olive oil or canola oil or coconut oil, then your body has to burn the fat you put in before it can burn the reserve, i.e. the belly fat or the visceral fat or the whatever you want to call it, the fat on your butt, on your belly, on your boobs, that all has to be burned after what you consume. So that's not necessarily the topic of today's video, but that's a good point to bring up. Today's video is if you cheat on this way of eating, and I don't care if you're keto, if you call it carnivore, if you call it keto, if you call it low carb, healthy fat, let's stop calling it low carb, high fat, because that is causing problems. So we got to call it low carb, healthy fat, or just LCHF. And moderate amount of fat. Protein doesn't really seem to spike your glucose, but it does have calories, so weigh that in mind. You can almost eat as much protein as you want, and that's kind of what I've been doing this week, but it's also been, there's carbs in the whipped cream, the bottle whipped cream I put on the sugar-free Jell-O. There are carbs in some types of cheese, and cheese is a fat. Verda only recommends 16 total ounces for me of protein containing foods. Not total 16 ounces, but 16 ounces of protein containing foods, which generally works out to about 16 ounces if you're going to eat a steak or something all day. Now, if you're a lady, if you're smaller than me, your number is less, but Dr. Westman limits it to 4 ounces of cheese. With Verda, it could be 16 ounces of cheese if I wanted it to be, because it's 16 ounces of protein-containing foods. But generally, if you're in a rush, like yesterday, I actually ate a pizza. That was kind of in celebration of my 3-year anniversary at the job. But I got to learn how to celebrate without cheating or going off my way of eating, because insulin does spike when you eat a pizza, or your glucose spikes, which makes your insulin spike, and then your body stores fat. I was down a little bit today over yesterday, but that was probably a lack of caloric intake, even though I ate the pizza. And I didn't even test my glucose this morning because I didn't want to see it. I know my ketones are down. There are other ways to tell if your ketones are up or down instead of just the fingerprint. Your urine gets kind of dark and kind of stinky if you're burning a lot of ketones, and I can't even describe the stink or the smell other than just it's a little stronger than it usually is. But I'm also on medication that can change your odor of your urine. My health coach was very concerned I was staying hydrated and having enough nutritious food, and since I'm gaining weight, I would say mission accomplished. The tooth, I barely feel it at this point, so I'm hoping that all of this week has not been in vain, and it will also make the spasms go away here. See, I took a Tylenol and an aspirin this morning, and I don't even feel it there. It's just normal. Next week, there will be one of the videos from In the Can. And I have at least 2 more, and there may be 3, I don't know. But, or I might pop in about 2 more weeks and say hi again. So let me know how you're feeling. Let me know what you think about cheat days down in the bottom. And don't tell me I like sugar, so I'm going to eat what I want. I get so sick of hearing that. I tend to like sugar too. I love sugar, as a matter of fact. And that's another problem, is they've been bringing candy to work all week. And I am eating a small amount. Of course, I'm justifying. I have to have food in my stomach to take the pills, but it is affecting my overall health. So you have to decide if sugar, the taste and the endorphins you get from sugar are better than the endorphins you get from being closer to your ideal weight. I'm not going to tell you can't eat sugar. Like I said before, I am not the food police. I don't live with you. I can't give you the evil eye every time you get a ho-ho out of the cabinet. Just don't put a ho-ho in the cabinet, then you won't have to get out. How about that? But just be aware that a lot of what you've learned from the conventional way of losing weight makes it very difficult to lose weight. It actually makes it very easy to gain weight. So go back and watch some of my older videos. I will be redoing a lot of them, because this 30-day challenge is turning more into a 30-week challenge. So if you see a video that says 30-day, know that that was something I canceled so I don't overwhelm my viewers. I have about 5 that would probably watch them all, and thank you. But I know the majority of you are not here to watch me every single day or for half an hour at a time, but this is about a half an hour video, so I'm going to wrap it up and say God bless. God bless America. God bless every country in this world, and God bless you. Have a great day. Here's to your health.